This episode is being brought to you by Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Alaska Realty. Whether you're investing in residential, buying or selling commercial properties anywhere in the state of Alaska, we're here to assist. To reach us, you can contact me at lottie@lottiemichael.com or my cell phone, 907-242-7603. And for comments or questions about residential properties, reach out to Connie Yoshimura at 907-229-2703, 229-2703. I think it's very important, regardless of the price point, that buyers jump on the housing ladder. And one of the things that I would encourage buyers to do is, if you can afford a $560,000 house at this particular point in time in your life, buy a condo, buy a townhouse, because you're missing out on the equity opportunity on an annual basis. And that's what's really important. We've had almost a 40.66% increase in values since 2020. What if 2 years ago you would have jumped on the housing ladder? You would probably have a 10 to 15% appreciation today. There's no place else in the financing world where you're going to be able to enjoy living in a property. A bond doesn't give you all of that pleasure and joy, right? Neither does an equity or whatever all those things are called, because I don't participate in that. But the reality of the situation is, this is a way for middle America to have some wealth. And for the young people, what I would say, sleeping in the fourth bedroom of your parents' home until you're 35 years old is not a solution for you. You need to buy whatever it is that you can afford to buy, because you're going to have appreciation. America has 2 million shortage of homes. 2 million, all right? We have large investors like Berkshire Hathaway buying new construction companies. Taylor Morrison in Arizona is a very good example of that. And the housing market is not just an opportunity for builders and developers, but first-time home buyers, move-up buyers. Whatever you can do, I would suggest that you take your first step and jump on the housing ladder. On a national basis, and here in the state of Alaska and in the municipality of Anchorage, we are talking about tax credits for first-time home buyers. We're talking about the University of Alaska in Fairbanks giving out opportunities through the Alaska Housing Finance Corporation to buy land and to possibly do joint ventures or whatever. We have Heritage Land Bank. We have a lot of land to help our housing market. It's just not in the private sector. That's been around for a very long time. It started with the VA in the 1950s, actually, with 000 down financing. As long as you have an appreciating market, it works, and it works really very well. So what you really do have to think about is the risk associated with it, because if you start rolling in closing costs and loan origination fees and all of that sort of thing that are in addition to the sales price, you have to think that if you have 6% in closing costs or 7% in closing costs, that you're going to be able to make that up in appreciation, okay, over a period of time. Now, there have been times in the housing market, both nationally and here in the state, when that didn't happen. And veterans had to turn in their keys along with other homeowners. In today's world, if that's what it takes to jump on the housing ladder, because I foresee continued appreciation due to the shortage of inventory on a national level, as well as here in the municipality of Anchorage, I think you're okay. But there's no guarantee in terms of that. So it's a risk. So you have to balance that. One way to balance it would be not to buy to your maximum capacity, right? Okay. Now, what I have found over a period of time is we have had economic conditions that have affected the housing market that we have no control over, rising interest rates being the primary factor that affects that. But then they're there, but then they go down, right? I've experienced housing rates from 15.25% for a residential mortgage, which was the second house that I ever sold in my real estate career. They had to have that house. All right. He was an engineer. She was a nurse. They had one toddler and another baby on the way. They needed a house. They were new to Alaska, right? That house has since, years have gone by, obviously, but it did have appreciation. And when the interest rate went down, they had the ability to reduce their mortgage. So what I would say is, if it's 100% and that's what you need to get off your parents' couch, right, then you go ahead and you do that, because sleeping on your parents' couch, and I'm talking to first-time homebuyers, doesn't get you anywhere, all right, as far as the creation of wealth from owning a property. We want to take a quick moment to thank Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Alaska Realty for supporting this episode. One of the things we appreciate about our team is that our agents do far more than open a door. We help clients understand neighborhoods, evaluate investment opportunities, navigate commercial leases, prepare homes for sale, and make smart long-term real estate decisions. Whether you're a first-time home buyer or a growing business looking for office space, or a national or international Fortune 500 company exploring opportunities in Alaska, we're here to facilitate and help you. Visit Berkshire Hathaway Home Services AlaskaRealty.com to connect with Lottie Michael at 907-242-7603 or Connie Yoshimura at 907-229-2703. I have that conversation with my husband every spring. Seriously, the trees that get planted, the shrubs that get planted, the perennials that get planted are lovely. Everybody knows my husband has a lovely garden, but it does not add to the value of the home. It's a specialty item. As a matter of fact, in the future, if we ever moved, probably no buyer is going to really want to spend all of the money in his or her entire summer taking care of this garden. But getting back to the basics, if you're buying a new construction home, let's say this, the builder gives you a final grade. If you want the trees and all the shrubs removed in the backyard, that's going to be an extra charge. He's going to give you the final grade around basically 20 feet around your house, and that's it. So now then it's your responsibility through the covenants, codes, and restrictions for within 1 year to complete the landscaping. Normally that landscaping has 2 or 3 trees, it has some shrubs, and I actually prefer the shrubs around the perimeter of the house, the front of the house. I'm real fond of cotoneasters because they turn a beautiful color in the fall. Your landscaping should be appropriate for the value of the general value of the home, what the CCNRs say that they should be. But it is important to understand that we have a lot of snow, we have a lot of moose, and I'm going to say this, that you should try to buy your trees and shrubs. You need to find out where they were growing, okay? And if they come from someplace in a warm climate, you don't want to buy those, right? You want to buy trees and shrubs that come from a northern climate. And that doesn't always happen, if I can be perfectly frank, if you purchase them from some of the major chains that bring in a lot of landscaping, trees and shrubs from areas that are probably not suited for that type of weather. I will tell you though, apple trees do grow in Alaska. And I have sold homes that actually have had an apple forest of various types of different apples. And that's a lot of fun. But of course, the moose eat them. You have to make the decision, is this remodel for your personal benefit, or is this to remodel to potentially sell the house? So 2 days ago, I was in a meeting with people in the real estate profession. They weren't realtors, right? One was a planner and a surveyor, and another one was an engineer. And the surveyor said to me, Connie, before we get started to talk about Holton Hills, which everyone wants to talk about, I have a personal question to ask you. And it was, we're thinking about remodeling our house. It was built in the 2000s, right? And we have a bid of $60,000 to remodel this house, which would be the kitchen, the bathroom, new flooring, all that sort of thing. What do you think? And I said, how long are you going to live in the house? A couple of years. And I said, then I think you should carpet and paint, right? Because you don't know what the next buyer is going to want. And I can tell you, based upon historical statistics, that whatever you put in your house to remodel, you're only going to get 50% of that value back, if anything. Now, obviously, if you have powder blue bathroom fixtures, you might want to do some basic remodeling, all right, as far as removing those fixtures. I've replaced a toilet, a sink, a cabinet, right? But then when you start about tearing out your tub and making it a shower and doing all that sorts of things, and replacing all your cabinetry in a kitchen, I don't believe you can replace your kitchen for less than $35,000 in today's market. So basically, if you're going to sell your house in 2 years, you're taking a big $60,000 risk that whatever you put in this house is going to be attractive to the next buyer. And what I want to say is, let the next buyer do that. What you want when it comes to remodeling and putting the house up for sale, you want it to be clean. And that may sound very simple, but it's not. Any home needs to be professionally cleaned before it goes on the market. And if you have carpeting that has had a dog living in the house, you should replace the carpeting, or let's call it flooring, right? And if you have children that have painted the female daughter, the daughter's pink bedroom, then you might consider something more bland. And the same thing for the son who's got blue walls, right? So you need to make it neutral. And maybe you're going to spend $10,000 or $15,000. But if you're going to spend $60,000, then you should just go buy a new house, really. I want to thank Thomas Moore, who asked me these questions and was my real live teleprompter. He runs our HOA division, and he's doing a really great job. And he's a great teleprompter, a real live teleprompter. Thank you. Now, tell us, how long have you been in the real estate business?
I'm going into my 19th year.
Oh my gosh,
Yes.
Congratulations, really.
I am, yeah.
What did you do before you went into real estate?
I was in the title business.
Mhm.
Yeah, I worked with commercial real estate. So I did mainly commercial real estate with the marketing department and did some title and some escrow as well.
Mhm.
And prior to that, I was in the residential side of title insurance and escrow. And it was a great transition to go from there to real estate, because the one challenge was that all of my sphere of influence were all realtors.
You also have another love, which is some athletic opportunities, right? So
Yes.
tell us about those.
So part of my longtime career in real estate involved me also coaching at West Anchorage High School for cross-country running, track and field. I was the head coach there for quite a few years. And it was just great giving back to the community, working with the young kids, their parents, the West Anchorage community. It feels like it's, I'm calling myself a Westie, even though I live in the downtown area. So yeah, and it was a wonderful way of giving back. Got a lot of enjoyment and fulfillment out of it.
Well, I think that coaching is really part of real estate as well, right?
Yes, very much
It's
so.
just a different skill set and different knowledge, but it is still all about coaching people through one of the most important transactions of their life. But you made a switch several years ago in real estate. You were still in real estate, but you switched from direct listing and sales into sort of a luxury boutique property management company. And I remember I remember saying, Ruth, why would you want to do that? You were a very successful realtor. So tell me about that experience and what you've gained and learned and why you love doing that.
So
now
it wasn't so much of a switch as it was more of a additional service I offered, because my main clientele is still going to be going to be working with buyers and sellers, but you're going to find there's always a need for housing. And some people just are not in a position to buy, or they have decided not to because they're only going to be here so many years. So there's always a need for housing. So I decided to go do a small boutique property management company at a certain price point. And that way I would market myself that way. And then I would be very hands-on. I'd offer a service where I'm very communicative. I'm available when something needs to be done. I immediately call them back. And I saw a need for that. There was one-on-one, contact and lots of interaction in between not just the owners, but also the tenants as well.
Well, I think that's an exceptionally nice part of a real estate career. And how much longer are you going to sell real estate?
Till I'm not breathing anymore.
That's right. That's how I feel. No, really.
Yeah, no.
Because it is a life. It is a lifestyle, and it's really very rewarding.
It
right?
really is.
Because you're helping people at a very important time in their life, whether they're sellers or whether they're renters. And you found a niche in the marketplace that I think was really, really lacking, which was professional, hands-on, day-to-day opportunities for sellers to find a good leasing agent to work with. Is there an additional charge for pets?
Yes, there is. There is. I always encourage a pet deposit per pet.
Per pet. All right. Okay.
I always.
Oh, there he is now. He's paying attention right now.
Pet. So pet deposits are really important because some people say, well, just raise the monthly rent. Could I do that? And I go, well, you're not going to get the benefit just raising the monthly rent. What you want to do is have a deposit. It gets deposited into the owner's account. Their security deposit, the tenant's security deposit, goes into the trust account of Berkshire Hathaway. But the pet deposit goes directly to the owner. And then they have the driver's wheel with that, because I do the final walkthrough with the tenant. And if it's in normal condition, not if it's usual wear and tear, not unusual wear and tear, then they'll get that deposit back. But if there's wear and tear from the pet, that deposit will get kept for.
So any final words of advice for renters? How can renters be competitive if the market is so tight? How can a renter, a potential tenant, get prepared?
Well, they need to have a good rental history, because I do a thorough background check. And if I find that they've always paid their rent on time, that they've got the owner of the property or the property manager says that they left the place in great condition, they paid their bills on time, their utility bills, they paid their rent on time, and have a good credit score, they're going to be the most desirable candidate for the owner to pick. And good job, history. I always call the employers to verify their job and their salary amount, all of that. And I get permission, of course, from, the tenant knows that up front, that's what I'm going to be doing through the background interview process.
Thanks again to Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Alaska Realty for sponsoring this episode. If you're thinking about buying, selling, or investing in the great state of Alaska, be sure to contact us. Connie Yoshimura at 907-229-273, or for commercial activity, Galati Michael, CCIM at 907-242-7603.